Welcome back to our continuing adventures on Let's Defend. I am doing this back to back to the previous video, so I have not been able to sit there and get this escalated. So effectively the accounts that I have are downgraded to normal free accounts. So hopefully it's not just spinning my wheels on this and we'll actually be able to get somewhere. So we are dealing with today from June 21st, 2023, as it is not one of the VIP only cases on the Security Analyst Path. SOC210, possible brute force detected on VPN. Event ID is 162. Event type is brute force. And it looks like this is targeting Maine. So I guess first things first, let's bring up endpoint. Find me Maine. Maine 172.16.17.210. Well, that is a very interesting IP address. And it looks like that's all June 21st. And that's into July. But apparently that's Shane. So what is 333333 for supposed to be VPN-letsdefend.io? Because it looks like all the source is the 3719.211. Okay, so let's do the needful. We'll put that in there. We'll knock out these other reports. And granted, it's gonna be, what, 6 months, give or take? But let's just see what results do we have. Is it marked as bad? Last analysis date was last month, and malware URL and SOC radar pick them up as malware/malicious, respectfully. Apparently it's shown up in created pulses 12 and 10 months ago. So what? Be roughly January of 2023 and then March of 2023. But yeah, it looks like it's kind of blank now. Apparently it was on a block list and is now expired, which makes sense. It's 6, 7 months ago. IP void. Oh, what is it? IP abuse DB is the other one. Let's see. Was found in the database, was reported 17 times. Confidence of abuse is 3%. Phishing. Okay, June of 2023. Brute force SSH, port scan, hacking, port scan, brute force. As of a week ago. Bad web bot, web spam, email spam, brute force. Okay, so it's basically on a good number of metaphorical shit lists. It's also still on a block list for S5HBL. S5HBL? Okay. So this thing looks like it actually has a history of doing this. And we can kind of see that as we work our way forward. So targeting Zane, Vane, Tane, but no Tank. And we get main. Okay, so then they would have noticed, okay, hey, yeah, we found a username is correct, but password is wrong. Username is correct, but the password is wrong. Which takes us into past 147. Still targeting, so the next minute, still on main. Another minute, still targeting main. Another minute goes by, still targeting main. Wait, no, this is multiple within that one section. Username's correct, but password's wrong. That's 150, 151. Then we get it. So 33.33.33.33 must be the IP for VPN-Let's Defend.io. And then it's next, or the following month. Where it's then a 138, 199, 21, 201 IP address that starts beating on everything. And then they managed apparently to get into Alcaraz. Oh, that's good to know. I guess it would have been nicer to know that, you know, we have VPN endpoint at 33.33.33.33, but hey. Okay, I just... Really, puppy? Worth a shot. So yeah, we got a brute force. We're gonna go through and we're gonna lock this down. Looks like managed updates. So Defender's kicking itself off and making sure that everything's all nice and awake. It's having its coffee. Anything else that seems to go on? No. 131142. least not process-wise. Yeah. Yeah, 3719. Oh wait, no, I'm looking at the endpoint. So 151 should be 1351. We don't have anything else in the endpoint logs. So they were able to log in and then didn't do anything? So maybe they, yeah, there's nothing to the endpoint logs. Although technically, just because they were able to jump on doesn't necessarily mean that it's anything else that they then connected to the workstation, just that they were able to connect their device utilizing their account. Which, if they know the password that worked and there's no MFA, then they could just pivot to be trying to reuse that same password to get into email, everything else like that. No emails or anything else like that. So effectively, yeah, it looks like they just did brute forcing from a known IP address. So then let's pivot. Pardon me. Log management instead of the VPN endpoint. Give me anything else involving this. Really? It's still 3? There we go. All fits on one now. And how they run through looking for something. And then they finally get in. Yeah, so this would be, I guess we really didn't need to quarantine the workstation, but that would be the easiest thing for them to effectively get into. Now just RDP in, because assuming that the same password that'll work for VPN is going to be the same password that will get you attached to your workstation. Assuming that they're all combined. So I guess technically we really didn't have to, but until we get the password rotated, let's not make this easy, because if the system is network isolated, that means only the EDR solution that we're using that's generating these logs for the endpoint, everything else like that, should be able to talk back and forth. And then maybe if I don't know. But then the fun thing becomes that we don't have log on doing anything else. I don't see logs here for Exchange that they tried to then download a bunch of emails. I don't see a connection to any other endpoint. So I guess we'd probably want to see, okay, VPN logs specifically. And then, do we have any other activity in the environment? A quick glance doesn't look like it. So yeah, they were able to get and maybe it's the whole aspect of, they know how to sit there and run, some scripting tools. They got some bots that they don't mind, having to go through and um, eventually consider burnt, tossed. Maybe their initial access brokers be like, going to turn around and sell, hey, I've got, working VPN credentials for Let's Defend for a particular user account that are good as of June 21st, 2023, 1:51 p.m. Who wants to give me $300 for it? Just quick smash and grab effectively. No, did that actually? No, that didn't load anything. We'll go through and do an Nmap scan of it. See what we get. But okay, let's see as to whether or not if we can take this or if I'm just waiting or screwing this up more. No? Okay, apparently. The source IP address is external. And we've done, okay, we didn't do Let's Defend TI, but we did Virus Total, we did Abuse IPDB, we did Talos, we did IP Void, we did Alien Vault.tx. I think we've got enough to search the attacker IP. Does the target... Yeah. All we got was the VPN. At least until we move forward. But we don't see any activity. So I guess the question is, okay, the endpoint. Yeah, we don't have, underneath the security analyst, the access to go through and spin up the VM for the box and take a look. But effectively, we see no activity past that point onto the host. All we have is effectively the logs for the perimeter that denote that, at least in regards to vpn-letsdefend.io, that login was successful from the IP address that tagged a bunch of tane, sane, main accounts. That user doesn't exist until they came up to main, where it was user exists, but the password is wrong, and then a subsequent set of handful of attempts until they got the password correct. Honestly, yeah, it was successful. Well, this would be more password rotation. So, and then it's the bigger portion. Does it honestly? Well, considering the fact we see no logs of any sort of connection to it, I guess we could pivot. If we take log management and we go back to endpoint and we take main, this is everything for main. And this is before, right? Yeah, June 21st. So we get some DNS activity, supposedly. Empty bar logs that don't give us anything. Package delivery. That's why they're freaking out. Understandable, I guess. So we don't have anything. 11 or 1:51. This is 12:41 a.m. Yeah. So apparently something email related was going on, but nothing that would go with this case. So, arguably, do we need to isolate it? No, but considering the fact that that workstation would be what you would expect, would be out of an abundance of caution, yeah, since it's the one that they typically sign into. Given the fact that we don't see any activity in any of the logs, I'm going to say no, even though I did go through and isolate it. We're going to hedge our bets until they can go through and get the password changed. So how did the attack happen? A known IP that does brute forcing scanned for a bunch of usernames and passwords, not having any luck until they stumbled upon an actual legitimate account. They then focused on that, and inside of a few minutes managed to guess the password. Or maybe they took a look and see if there were any other like breaches for like main at letsdefend.io with like have I been pwned, and then they went and researched the breach and see if they could find previous passwords. Maybe it was password reuse. Maybe it was a really crappy password of change me or temp123. Don't know. How about its staff and management performed during the incident? I mean, we got the alert, but that was it. Realistically, it depending on the threat intel source. I mean, realistically, well, and the same IP address going through and not even getting the username right. You would think there would have been something in front, possibly, or some aspect to go through and be like, okay, yeah, you're on timeout. And if you persist, we're just going to go through and block you. But that's more of, okay, having the stuff set up. What staff and management do differently the next time a similar incident occurs? Well, rather than just raising the alert, would be hopefully isolate any affected devices short of the VPN endpoint. Immediately get the account disabled until the password can be reset after, some sort of verified communications medium. So somebody goes and talks to main. Hopefully they're in the office and they can verify, hey, did you... Well, no, that wouldn't make sense because if they're in the office, they wouldn't be trying to connect out from anywhere. I guess maybe find out what they were doing. Verify that they weren't, trying to run some sort of brute force themselves. That would still be a talking to. But corrective actions. Better threat intel. Something to go through and notice brute forces like this and block the IPs. Granted, I mean, there's how many millions and billions of IP addresses? And so all they had to do is just rotate to a different one. But I guess that's kind of where the timeouts come in, something like fail to ban. But something in front, some sort of a more restrictive policy. precursors or indicators should be watched for. Well, anything more focused on 33.33.33.33, which is the VPN-letsdefend.io portion. So basically a string of failed logins of incorrect usernames. I mean, that right there, okay, you might give them one or two, but to just basically work down the chain, no. And we have artifacts. Sadly, there's only really one. Which is that 37.19.221.229. I guess the other aspect is since the logs kind of spell it out for us, we may want to go back to whoever's responsible for the VPN endpoint, like, hey, we're seeing in the logs this VPN-letsdefend.io. We want to verify what the external IP address is. Can you confirm that it's 33.33.33.33, and or is there anything or any other ones that we would potentially have to look for? Um, Oh, that might be the other thing too, changing the responses that the username is correct, but the password is not. That might help if it's something that can even be changed. Guessed a few usernames correctly before. Is it correct username? But the password is in minutes. No signs of any activity outside of the authentication to the VPN endpoint. Which is true, we don't have anything else past that point, and not for looking. What's going on? And we should have the details in there. Maybe. Or maybe not. Okay, apparently I can do that. Okay. It was effectively a toss-up. So they are saying that the device should be isolated. So they're host inside the network, which I guess makes sense. I could make an argument either which way, considering the fact we didn't see any, follow-up activity to the endpoint. But I mean, realistically, if we're assuming AD environment that the VPN credentials are tied into, or AD integrated, so that way it's a single password for the account, email, and VPN access, all the rest of that stuff. And okay, yeah. But realistically, it depends as to what your backend looks like. If you have a different set of creds for VPN access as opposed to, everything that's all tied together, okay. I mean, you get on the network, but that doesn't then get you authorized into any end user or any workstations or servers, because that's just to establish a VPN connection. Of course, that's probably more of a pain in the ass than would it be worth, but take it for what it is. So log management, enrichment, context raw, right? I just want to maintain the fact. And I suppose, okay, yeah, we'll just treat it as always an abundance of caution going forward. But we quarantined it anyways. It's just one of those ambiguous aspects. Do I know for a fact that the credentials to the VPN are or are not the same? Although I suppose if we were to assume, again, out of the abundance of caution, we would assume that they would be, and that we would go through and or network isolate the device. But yeah, it is what it is, and it's not what it's not. Okay, so from June 21st, 2023, 1:51 p.m. or 13:51 if you like the 24-hour clock like I do. This has been SOC210, possible brute force detected on VPN. EventID of 162, type brute force, severity high. And with all that being said, I will see everybody in the next video.